Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Taurus December 2022 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant, and I've had the great pleasure of doing a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for YouTubers from this channel from all around the world over the course of the last month. And if you choose to find out more about what might be involved, just check out the link below and go to the website. There's lots of interesting material there. Now, I'm going to use a deck called the Thoth deck this month. We haven't used it, I don't think, for such a long time. In fact, I don't recall using it with you. But Thoth, there's nothing magical about it. It's the name for the ancient Egyptian god of wisdom. But the artwork on this is spectacular. It was devised by a woman called Lady Frida Harris. She became Lady Harris when her husband, who was a British politician, was elevated to the House of Lords and became Lord. But the artwork is great and it's esoteric. A lot of people are frightened to use this deck. For some reason, I have found there is the Four of Cups. I think it's because they're intimidated by the imagery on it, but I have to tell you, there is this Seven of Cups. The imagery is so, there is the Two of Swords. The imagery is so esoteric that if you know what to look for, it actually tells you a lot about what is going on, and you get the vibe from the artwork itself. Well, certainly I do anyway, and I have been doing this for a long time. And there is the Wheel of Fortune. Interesting for you, good to see. And finally, let's take one more, shall we? And it is this one, which is the Knight of Wands. Right, why don't you come and make yourself comfortable? Let's look at these cards together while I do the reading for you. All right, my friends, let's have a look at these two Cups cards on the top, because they show a little bit of diffidence, I think, in your emotional state. That will then be resolved through a period of peace and respite. You'll then develop a huge amount of energy, and things are going to turn around and go wonderfully for you. But let's have a look first at this image. Now, look at this interesting image that's in here. There is an infinity symbol in the middle there. The stem of this lotus is what makes up the base, but the base is unstable on the water, isn't it? It's very difficult to see how something like that would remain stable. Water is coming from the pink lotus into these two cups, which flows into the two bottom cups, and there it stops. There it stops. Well, this is the moon, as we can see here, in the sign of Cancer. Now, I reckon it's the second decade of Cancer, being the 12th to the 22nd of July. Well, the moon rules Cancer, which is, look, I'll be honest, it's about the only real great strength of this card. I think that the underlying message is that maybe you want to be emotionally fulfilled in a deep way, but perhaps are going about it in a wrong way. And the moon is also associated with the principle of flux and change, isn't it? And your own emotional states, as I can see here, are likely to be going through some changes, just like the shifting phases of the moon. But there is a great degree of love, tenderness, care, and emotional riches here. The pink lotus testifies to the love you have received from others. This is part of the emotional richness which fulfills you, expressing itself in your environment through beauty and luxury. The ability to accept this in humility and thankfulness reveals an inner fullness which can be shared with others. Now, these golden cups express the wealth of feelings at hand, whose roots are deep in the subconscious. The moon, as is in this card here, has a great deal to do with the subconscious. Now, this luxury, and I will for a change use a title of a card, normally I don't go along with them, but this luxury is a responsibility as well as a gift. It demands measured behavior and awareness, as well as an ability to enjoy and share, to pass it on to others. The danger exists, however, that the emotions take on a life of their own, and moderation can be thrown to the winds. You could be driven by your emotions unconsciously. Now, in this case, the clear, pale blue sky darkens, and the water loses its still clarity. In times of luxury, it is best to be doubly awake, especially in intimate relationships, where there is the danger that devotion could become oppressive. There's also a danger here, I think, of boredom or dissatisfaction in life. Maybe you've become a little bit too familiar with your environment. It's almost as if you might lack motivation, and therefore there is the need to set new goals. Remember, next month is January and a new year. And you could, you see, as a result, particularly in this month of December, be looking for material things, for happiness, to paper over what is a crack in your emotional being. You could be seeking temporary pleasure as an escape for feelings of discontent. But it does remind you to realize what you do have and to appreciate it, because there are many other people worse off. Look, you are being given much love and devotion, so enjoy it without becoming dependent on it. Are you in any relationship in which you feel restricted? Are you expressively devoted to someone? And say to yourself, if there is someone with whom you are with, say, I enjoy being with this person in love and thankfulness. Now, we're going to look at this next card that's on this top line here, and as you know, I don't sugarcoat things for you, because forewarned is forearmed, isn't it? Now, this is a title here, which I think is stupid. I don't know why developers put titles on cards. There's no need for it. So don't pay any attention to the title. What's more interesting here is the fact that it is Venus. You can just make out the glyph in Scorpio here, and also the number 7 is important as well. So we have Venus ruling Scorpio, and I would say it's the end of Scorpio, being the 13th to the 22nd of November. Look, Venus, as you know, is the planet of love and relationship, of happiness, beauty, and form. And Scorpio is all about intensity and in-depth transformation and exploration of the self and others. Well, mystically, I have Venus associated with the number 7 as well. So we have Venus ruling Scorpio, and we have Venus in the numerology. So there's a double dose of Venus, and this double dose of Venus does not have anything holding it back in this respect. So it's a double dose of Venus coming into Scorpio. Now, the issue is that Venus is in detriment in Scorpio. So Venus isn't able to express her sensitivity and emotions properly, and instead they can become channeled into negative addictions and intensity, which is the darker side of Scorpio, isn't it? And it implies that, look, there is the chance that you could indulge in excess reactive behavior due to something that has affected you deeply, or changed you in a way which throws up its own set of problematic issues, or behaviors, or ways of looking at yourself and the world. There is a sense of what a moment ago was a source of lust and enjoyment has now lost its attractiveness, in a sense here. The blossoms have let their heads droop, and their flavor has become stale. The emotions are out of balance again, and the indication is that some deep disappointment has still not been resolved. That's what I'm getting here. Now, I think you have tried to cover over old wounds, haven't you? But this diversionary tactic hasn't helped. And after every binge, be it on ice cream or cookies or alcohol or whatever. Every attempt at escape, the face of your old problem rises all too clearly before your eyes and colours your experience of the situation, making it look gloomier and gloomier. So really it's a time to open your eyes and take a good look at what is perhaps a painful reality, because only by perceiving, by recognizing your own inner reality, will you become freed. Every further attempt to avoid it increases the stagnation of your emotional energy. Is there some disappointment you have not yet worked out? Have you experienced something that was perhaps a little bit too good? Have you overtaxed yourself or overdone things in any way? Say this to yourself: as I recognize and accept my shadows, they lose their power over me. But the good thing is that I do think that you will take the necessary time to reevaluate your things for yourself, and then things turn around for the better. But let's have a look at this card here, which goes to show how this process is coming about. Now, what's the first thing that we can make out here that's of interest? And it is, well, there's a little glyph here, can you see it? It's that of Jupiter in, what's that, can I make that out? Jupiter in Libra, according to the developer. Well, look, Libra tries to find a balance in your life. The need for balance can induce unrest, and Libra can also induce indecisiveness. But I think Jupiter is coming in here to give you a period of rest from something which is of a difficult situation here, as well as opening your higher mind's flexibility, which is needed to resolve conflicts in life and conflicts within yourself. And Jupiter, more importantly, allows you to move on. Now, what are some of the other things that are going on here? Well, there are 4 swords coming in here. The 4 swords represent aspects of you, and on their hilts in here are the signs for the 4 elements. The pointy ends of the swords are buried in this beautiful rose, which shows you how things are blossoming within you. Now, I know that there are 49 petals in here. That's 7 times 7 is 49. And that is a great degree of Venus. See, I have a mystical association with Venus, with the number 7. And Venus is the ruler of Libra. Now, what's also important here is that these yellow lines marking around, they are to do with air. Libra, of course, is an air sign. And this blue color that's in the background here, that is to do with Jupiter. Oh, by the way, this green color here, this is also an association with Venus, and it's in the St. Andrew's cross formation. The St. Andrew's cross formation was one that said, according to tradition, in the Christian tradition, there was a person called Saint Andrew who refused to be crucified in the same way as the Christ. And so, because he didn't feel he was up to it. And so what this is talking to me about is that these feelings that are in here with you, which I suspect have things to do with your self-image, with your self-confidence, they are undergoing a period of repair here. They are being repaired. That Saint Andrew has taken on the burden of self-esteem and is replenishing your self-esteem in this situation, I think. Now, the tips of the 4 swords are all of equal strength, and they meet at the center of that full-blown rose. So your worries now have been conquered. The clarity, which is seen not in this spread, but elsewhere in the Ace of Swords, is regained, and this blue color comes through. And that yellow-green, well, that That also, from Venus, that also speaks to me of a great degree of creativity, both material and spiritual here. This is a good atmosphere for the rose of recognition to unfold and expand, and Jupiter carries the qualities of joy and expansion. Now, whatever situation had seemed hopeless before, well, that is until now, well, it actually contains within it all the elements of a fortunate, prosperous solution. Do you understand? Now, this green cross in that background there, that indicates a complete inner unification, the integration of all four aspects of your mind, emotions, body, and soul as well. Now, a warning, I think, is also here that truce does not mean peace. There may be a surface calm which is only maintained by suppressing feelings and impulses. So examine very carefully the possibility that disturbing influences are already present, merely hidden for the moment. But by recognizing these in time, as you are now, you are able to rob them of their disruptive power. Look, you have enough inner clarity now to successfully carry out your plans, and be sure at all times that you feel good about what is happening, what supports or what hinders your clarity. Check your surroundings and rearrange them to support calm and centeredness, and say to yourself, I am at peace within my heart. Now, when I said before that things are going to move along for you, they certainly are, because you haven't gone through that regenerative period there. This isn't a big deal, I don't think, nor is that. Anyway, you work through them, and by this time, you've got things really happening for you, because here is the Knight of Wands. So obviously it's in the suit of fire. Let's have a look here. There is on this knight's thing here that's a black horse, and this is a black horse. So his crest has got a black horse on it, and this horse is black. Black is associated for me mystically with the planet of Mars, which is about fire and energy. Now, this torch that he's holding up here, well, that would, I suppose, be the Ace of Wands. And it's almost like a phallus, isn't it? And a phallus that is being productive is what I would say. And what is interesting also is that his cloak is all about fire. But these things here show us, with the flames blowing forward and this way, that the wind is coming from this direction and pushing you along. So you are being pushed along here. Now, Sagittarius is important to you at this time. So is Scorpio, I would say. And I think that what's important is that you're going to be very active. Now, you could be quite impetuous. You will by now have regained your esteem, and you could become, paradoxically quite proud of yourself. You will be very quick and unpredictable in the actions that you take. And I have to say there's going to be a certain degree of fierceness about you at this time. It's also something here I'm getting is that it could well be that the environment around you could be quite changeable. There could be quite a lot of change going on in the environment around you, but you should remain cool and collected and resolute and energetic, and be careful of the actions that you take. Don't do anything that hasn't been well thought out, but go forward with an alert confidence in your ability. This is dynamic forward motion for you now. Increased insight, and you meeting the coming changes head on and overcoming them. You'll be energetic, ambitious, determined, very adventurous, I think. And I have to tell you this, you'll be very charming and magnetic, and you're going to be very, we're all grown-ups. You're going to be very sexually attractive to other people and very hard to resist. And I'm quite confident that you'll know what to do about that. But this knight here, I think, symbolizes the mastery of growth and inner development, which you are now pursuing. Now, in his left hand is that burning torch with which he burns away all negativity which stands in his way. He has taken on the task of removing all obstacles and blocks on the path towards his own growth, which is what you are also going to do. And as I say, look at his flowing cape. It's made of flame. His helmet is also got that wonderful black horse on it. His own vision has become a vehicle, a horse, for decisively dealing with the outer world. Now, as a reptile grows, it has to, from time to time, crawl out of the old skin, which has become too tight, doesn't it? Or the knight's armour, made of reptilian skin, symbolizes dropping all that is old and narrow and leaping forward courageously. The energy created by increased perception is set free now, and it manifests, and it is unstoppable. Even in difficult situations, you are going to move forward in a constructive direction. So be awake, be ready for people or situations which could produce dynamic changes in your consciousness. Be grateful for this gift from existence. Receive it and don't cling to it. Does your present situation allow your energies to develop and unfold fully? And if not, what must be removed or changed? Find your vitality now. Trust your gut instinct. Let yourself down and give yourself a pep talk and believe you can do it, because you definitely can. And say this to yourself: every challenge which arises helps me grow. Every storm strengthens my roots. And then we turn finally, I think it is finally, isn't it? Yes, to this Wheel of Fortune. Now, I tell you what, if miracles don't start happening in your life, then there is definitely something wrong. Let's have a look at this. Now, here are some 5-pointed stars. They represent people, or you. Some of them are dark, and some of them are light, which goes to show that the universe is in balance. This 10-pointed, there's another look, see there's this wheel here, and there's another wheel thing up the top there, isn't there? That has a 10-pointed star in it, and that 10-pointed star is replicated down here in the middle of this thing by a 10-pointed star, which is to say, in line with the esoteric, that as above, so below. There is a fist that you might see down here. This is giving rise to 3 rays on each side, 6 in total. Now, that number 6, mystically, I have an association with Christ consciousness, with Vishnu consciousness, or with Krishna consciousness. In fact, even with the writings and musings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the point is that this is a very spiritually significant and protective moment for you. These lightning bolts coming down are the lightning bolts of Jupiter, because Jupiter is the planet. Well, here is Sagittarius here as a sign, and this is a Hebrew letter meaning calf. Calf means palm of the hand, and so the palm of the hand shows you that your destiny is in your own hand. And that is so, because destiny is what you make. When you fail to live your dharma, or what is your correct destiny, then the default fate comes into play. But when you reintegrate and move in a way which is for your benefit, then you go back to destiny. Fate is something that you were born with. It's like a recipe, but you improve upon it by fulfilling a destiny. And the 10 here, this thing moves counterclockwise, and it's pulling with it 10, like in a sort of a vortex of energy with it as well. Now, in the midst of those energy whirlwinds and lightning bolts, turn the 10-pointed, or spoked rather, Wheel of Fortune. It is a symbol of wholeness in constant motion, yet unchanging in its completeness. Now the three figures, the Sphinx, the ape, and the crocodile, they represent, well, three Egyptian gods. The Sphinx unifies the four magic virtues: knowledge, will, daring, and silence. Wisdom arises through the unification of animal instincts and intuitive intellectual powers. Now, the sword in the Sphinx's paw testifies to incorruptible powers of choice, discernment, discrimination, and the ability of you to be able to think clearly. Now, the ape on the left side of the wheel symbolizes flexibility. It looks as if he is the one who keeps the wheel in constant motion. The crocodile represents the god of creativity. It holds two tools in its hand. In the right is the Egyptian Ankh symbol, inverted, the symbol of life. Every creative act brings something to life. The staff with the what's that thing at the end of it there? I just can't. With that hook at the end of it is a symbol of the possibility that you have to forge your own luck. You can recognize and attract good opportunities, though, and make use of them. Now, the center of the wheel represents the sun, origin, and unification of all creative energies. It's also a symbol of awareness, realization, enlightenment. Now, in the sun is the absolute center. The center of the cyclone, which, despite the constant movement at the periphery, remains still and unchanged. Now, I say cyclone, but it could also be hurricane, the eye of the hurricane or the eye of the cyclone. This is the inner seed, the witness who remains untouched by the ups and downs of duality, joy and sadness, hope and fear. But right now, we are observing the periphery of the wheel. We are filled with joy by the breakthrough into clarity, the great fortune that this moment brings you. Life holds out unexpected gifts and possibilities to you. Now you need to keep watchful eyes out in order to perceive the gifts and possibilities being offered to you. I think that this represents an unexpected change in your life which will be favorable, but which may not necessarily seem that way at first. So be ready to act on any unexpected opportunities. When times are tough, stay centered, because things can change. And if things are changing, don't be discouraged, because they are going to get better. Change in any event is about to happen. Now, you may need to alter your present course or change things around to set the stage for the right outcomes to come into your life. And understand, of course, if you struggle against the course of life, you become like one of those animals struggling against the wheel and possibly crushed beneath it. Be at the center of the wheel, and there, despite the ebbs and flows, you will never be broken or shaken. You stand before the possibility of a great breakthrough, so use the moment. Are you really ready for the great good fortune coming to you? What is still standing in your way? Say this to yourself: I am now ready for the miracle in my life. Well, what a fantastic spread of cards for you. Well done, you. Well, I'm sure you'll agree with me that this is a very, very interesting deck, isn't it? The Thoth deck, and it provides an unusual sort of a reading, different to the types that you might see before. Certainly the imagery is unlike anything that you see in other decks. But anyway, next time, of course, we will be using another deck, because I do change them each month, as you know. So, until I see you again, remember one thing, and one thing is this, and it is that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.